The sound of champagne glasses clinking made me flinch. Through the bay window of my soon-to-be former home, I watched my husband's family celebrate my departure in our perfectly manicured garden. My name is Juliana, and this is how I learned what the Wellsgross family really thought of their administrator of 15 years. 2 lighter days and lost dead weight, Melina's voice carried through the glass, her designer dress catching the late afternoon sun. The gathered crowd, all old money and older prejudices, laughed appreciatively. My husband David stood with his arm around Aurora, a woman young enough to be his daughter, not even trying to hide their connection anymore. I adjusted my blazer and checked my phone. 4:47 p.m. In 13 minutes, the banks would close. Perfect timing. I always said she wasn't our kind, didn't I? Melina continued, swaying slightly. I mean, who wears off the rack to the Newport charity gala? More laughter. I remembered that gala. I'd spent the entire evening restructuring their portfolio after discovering a major tax oversight that would have cost them millions. They never knew. Darling, tell them what you said about her spreadsheets, David called out to Aurora, who giggled and flipped her hair. I was like, who even uses Excel anymore? It's so basic. Aurora's voice dripped with manufactured sophistication. She'd been an Instagram influencer for all of 6 months. I opened my laptop and logged into the secure server. My fingers hovered over the keyboard as I thought about the clause I'd helped write 5 years ago. The one about trust fund administration during divorce proceedings. The one they'd never bothered to read. David, honey. Melina raised her glass again. I know it's been hard, but you're finally free. We're all finally free of her frugality. I typed in my authentication code and clicked status change. A small window appeared. Trust fund status. Under litigation reassessment. Confirm. Through the window, I watched David pull Aurora closer. To new beginnings, he said, kissing her neck. The woman who'd been sending him midnight texts for months giggled again. Click. I gathered my things and walked to the front door. Nobody noticed me slip out. They never did. That's what made me so dangerous. I was always just the quiet one, the boring one, the one who managed their money while they lived their glamorous lives. My phone buzzed as I reached my car. A text from my sister Cassandra. Did you do it? It's done, I replied. I drove past the garden party one last time. Melina was now dancing, champagne sloshing over her crystal flute. David and Aurora were making out by the rose bushes I'd planted. The roses would die soon. Aurora thought gardeners were totally last century. My phone started ringing around 5:15 p.m. First David, then Melina, then their family lawyer. I let them all go to voicemail. Finally, at 5:47 p.m., I listened to the first message. The bank just froze everything. David's voice shook with rage and panic. What the hell have you done? I pulled into my sister's driveway and checked my email. The automatic notification from the bank was already there. Trust fund status changed. All accounts frozen pending litigation review. Estimated processing time, 6-24 months. Cassandra opened the door before I could knock. You look too calm for someone who just nuclear bombed a dynasty, she said, pulling me into a hug. They thought I was dead weight, I replied, finally allowing myself a small smile. They forgot that even ballast can sink a ship. My phone buzzed again. Melina's name flashed on the screen along with a text. You little bitch. You have no idea what's coming. Oh, but I did. I knew exactly what was coming. After all, I'd spent 15 years planning it. I turned my phone off and followed my sister inside. Tomorrow would bring chaos, but tonight? Tonight I would sleep better than I had in years. The dead weight was finally free. Legally speaking. Sawyer leaned back in his office chair, a grin spreading across his face. They're completely screwed. I sat across from him, sipping the expensive coffee he always kept for our meetings. 24 hours had passed since I'd frozen the trust, and my phone had finally stopped its constant buzzing. How long can we keep it locked? I asked. With the litigation reassessment protocol you activated? He pulled up the documents on his screen. Minimum 6 months. Maximum... Well, I once dragged one out for 3 years. My phone lit up again. Melina's face appeared on the screen for the 47th time since yesterday. You should probably hear this one, Sawyer said, reaching for the phone. He put it on speaker. Listen here, you ungrateful little nobody. Melina's voice trembled with rage. David made you. We made you. You were nothing before us, and you'll be nothing again. If you don't unlock those accounts by noon, I'll... Sawyer ended the call. Please tell me you're recording these. Every single one, I smiled. Cassandra set up an automatic backup system. Smart sister you've got. He pulled out a legal pad. Now, let's talk about what they don't know. Show me those quarterly reports you mentioned. I opened my laptop and pulled up the files. 3 years of creative accounting. Melina thought she was clever, moving money between shell companies. Jesus, Sawyer whispered, scanning the numbers. They really didn't think you'd notice. They never thought I'd look. I was just the quiet wife who was good with Excel, remember? A knock at the door interrupted us. Sawyer's assistant poked her head in. Mr. Hoffman, there's a Mark Lowe here demanding to see you. He says he represents the Wells Gross family. Already? I raised an eyebrow. They moved faster than I expected. Send him in, Sawyer said, then turned to me. Watch this. Mark stormed in, his expensive suit failing to hide his aggressive demeanor. This ends now. My clients demand immediate access to their accounts. Your clients? Sawyer smiled pleasantly. You mean the family that's currently under investigation for trust fund violations? Violations? Mark scoffed. Please. Mrs. Wells Gross is simply protecting her family's interests. You mean like the interest on those offshore accounts? I spoke up. The ones she thought I wouldn't find. Mark's face twitched. I don't know what you're talking about. Section 47B of the trust agreement, I recited from memory. Any attempt to divert funds through unauthorized channels automatically triggers a full audit. Would you like to see the transfers? The color drained from Mark's face. This is harassment. No, Sawyer stood up. This is consequences. And if you're really representing them, you should know that any attempt to contact my client directly will be added to the litigation file. After Mark left, my phone pinged with a text from an unknown number. Hi, Juliana. This is Destiny from the financial advisory firm. There's something you need to see about the fourth quarter reports. Can we meet? Who's Destiny? Sawyer asked, reading over my shoulder. New intern at the firm. Quiet girl, always watching everything. I typed a quick reply, suggesting a coffee shop meeting. You trust her? More than I trust the family that's currently trying to access my home security system. I showed him another notification on my phone. They've tried to breach it 6 times since last night. Sawyer's expression darkened. You need to document everything, every call, every attempt, every threat. Already am. I pulled up a spreadsheet. 15 years of documentation, actually. Every slight, every exclusion, every time they used me while treating me like dirt. 15 years, Sawyer whistled. You've been planning this since the beginning? No, I gathered my things. I've been preparing. There's a difference. As I stood to leave, Sawyer grabbed my arm. Juliana, be careful. People like them. They're not used to losing. Neither am I replied. They just didn't know it until now. My phone buzzed again. This time it was David. Aurora's moving in tomorrow. Don't worry about collecting your remaining things. We'll have them donated. I showed the message to Sawyer, who shook his head in disbelief. They still think this is about the house, I said quietly. They have no idea what's coming. What is coming? Sawyer asked. I smiled as I walked to the door. Justice, Sawyer. Pure, cold, calculated justice. The old video played on my laptop screen showing David's grandfather in his study. You saved us, young lady, he wheezed, clutching my hand. The others just see numbers. You see patterns. Promise me you'll protect this family's legacy. I paused the video and looked at Sawyer. He made me promise 3 days before he died. That's when he changed the trust administration clause. And they never knew. They were too busy planning his funeral to read the paperwork. I closed the laptop. Melina was furious when she found out I was named administrator, but by then it was too late. My phone chimed with a text from Destiny. Meeting still on for 3 p.m.? I found something big. The cafe was quiet when I arrived. Destiny sat in a corner booth, nervously shredding a napkin. She looked up as I approached, her eyes darting around the room. They don't know I'm here, she whispered, sliding a USB drive across the table. But you need to see this. It's about the charity gala they're hosting tonight. I plugged the drive into my tablet. The one they're throwing to restore their social standing. They've been moving money around, Destiny said, breaking every covenant in the trust. But this, she pointed to a specific transaction. This is different. My eyes widened as I scrolled through the documents. They're using donor money to cover personal expenses. It gets worse. Destiny pulled out her phone. Watch this. A video played showing Melina in her office, arguing with David. The caterers want payment up front, she hissed. Just move it from the Children's Hospital Fund. We'll replace it later. When was this? Yesterday, Destiny said. I've been recording everything since they started acting weird about the accounts. My phone buzzed. A text from Cassandra. Turn on Channel 7 now. I pulled up the local news live stream. There stood Melina outside the Grand Hotel, surrounded by confused and angry guests. Behind her, Aurora was crying into David's shoulder. We don't understand, Melina was saying to reporters. All the cards are declining. This is clearly some sort of banking error. I watched as the caterers packed up their trucks. The florists removed their arrangements. The band loaded their equipment. Did you? Destiny began. No, I smiled. They did this to themselves. The trust freeze just exposed it. My phone lit up again. Aurora was calling. I answered on speaker. You evil bitch, she spat. You ruined everything, but he's coming for it all. Just wait. Who's coming? I asked calmly. You'll see. You think you're so smart with your spreadsheets and your little trust fund games? Mark knows people. Important people. I ended the call and turned to Destiny. Send everything you have to this email address. It goes directly to the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. Won't that destroy them? She asked. No, I gathered my things. They destroyed themselves. I'm just making sure everyone sees it. As I left the cafe, my mind wandered back to another conversation with David's grandfather. The others, he'd said, they think wealth is their birthright. But you understand, wealth is a responsibility. My phone chimed with a news alert. Breaking. Wells Gross, family charity, gala. Ends in chaos. Credit cards declined. Donors demanding answers. Below it was a photo of Melina being helped into a car, mascara running down her face. David stood in the background, arguing with the hotel manager. Aurora was nowhere to be seen. I forwarded the article to Sawyer with a simple message. Phase 1 complete. His response came quickly. You're trending on Twitter. They're calling you the silent assassin of high society. I smiled as another text came through, this one from an unknown number. You think you've won? The game's just starting. Check your brake lines. I forwarded it to Cassandra, who replied instantly. Already called the security company. They're installing cameras tonight. Let them come, I thought. Let them threaten and scheme and plot. They still didn't understand what they were dealing with, because while they were planning their next move, I was already 10 steps ahead, and unlike them, I had nothing left to lose. I know about the abortion, Melina's voice crackled through my phone's speaker. How do you think David will feel when he learns what you did in college? I kept my voice steady. Are you attempting to blackmail me, Melina? I'm giving you a chance to fix this mess, she paused. Unlock the accounts, and your secret stays safe. You should read Section 12.4 of the Trust Agreement, I replied. Any attempt at coercion or blackmail automatically voids fund eligibility. I'm recording this call, by the way. The line went dead. Sawyer, who'd been listening, let out a low whistle. They're getting desperate. Good, I said, forwarding the recording to my secure drive. Desperate people make mistakes. My laptop pinged with an email notification. It's done. I told Sawyer. The journalist has the email chain. How long until it breaks? Hours. Maybe less. I checked my watch. Just in time for the morning news cycle. Sawyer's expression turned serious as he pulled out a document. There's something else you need to see. I found a sealed clause in the trust. I scanned the paper, my blood running cold. If I die while the trust is under reassessment, Melina inherits everything, Sawyer finished. And after that threat about your brake lines, already handled. I pulled up the mechanic's report on my phone. Someone tampered with them last week. I'm driving a rental now and Cassandra insisted on installing cameras everywhere. My phone buzzed with a text from Destiny. They're meeting with Mark right now. He's talking about something called extreme measures. We need to move faster, Sawyer said, reaching for his briefcase. I've prepared the breach report. Every violation, every misappropriation, every illegal transfer. Once we file this, they'll never recover, I finished. The office door burst open. Aurora stood there, mascara streaked down her face. You have to stop this, she pleaded. David's drinking again. Melina's taking pills. Everything's falling apart. Sit down, Aurora, I said calmly. Let me show you something. I pulled up the charity gala records. See these numbers? That's donor money they used for your Instagram sponsorships. And these? Personal shopping sprees labelled as business expenses. I didn't know, she whispered. No, you didn't, because you were too busy playing princess to see what kind of family you were joining. I leaned forward. Get out while you can, Aurora, before you go down with them. She left without another word. Sawyer watched her go. You think she'll warn them? Doesn't matter, I replied. The breach report goes public tomorrow morning. My phone rang again. Cassandra. The security company caught someone trying to break into your house, she said without preamble. Police are there now. I pulled up the security feed on my laptop. Mark Lowe's face was clearly visible as he attempted to pick the lock. Send the footage to his law firm, I told Sawyer. Let them decide if they want to keep representing a lawyer who commits felonies. Juliana? Cassandra's voice was worried. This is getting dangerous. Maybe we should... A crash interrupted her. Through the phone I heard glass breaking. Cassandra? My heart stopped. Cassandra? I'm okay, she said quickly. Someone threw a brick through my window. There's a note attached. What does it say? Dead weight sinks to the bottom. Sawyer was already dialing. I'm calling in a security team. Professional protection 24/7. I stared at the breach report on my desk. Everything I'd documented over 15 years. Every insult, every manipulation, every crime. Tomorrow it would all come out. My phone lit up with a final text from David. You want to play hardball? Fine. But remember, I know things too. Like the real reason grandfather changed the trust. Check your email. The attached video showed David's grandfather in his study the same day he made me administrator. But this version continued after I left the room. She'll protect the legacy, he told David. Because she has to. The reset protocol ensures it. I looked at Sawyer. What's the reset protocol? He was already searching through the documents. I've never heard of it. Another text from David. Tick-tock, Juliana. Some secrets stay buried for a reason. The game had changed, but they forgot one thing. I'd been playing it longer than anyone, and I was just getting started. The reset protocol isn't in any of the official documents, Sawyer said, surrounded by papers in his office. It's like it doesn't exist. Oh, it exists, I replied, watching the morning news coverage of the email leak. Melina's face filled the screen as reporters swarmed her outside her mansion. David wouldn't be so smug otherwise. My phone buzzed. Destiny's message was urgent. Mark's trying to access your files. He offered me $50,000 for your passwords. Tell him yes, I texted back, but I want to meet first. Are you crazy? Sawyer protested. He's dangerous. He's predictable, I corrected, and I need to know what they know. The cafe was crowded when Mark arrived. He sat down across from me, looking expensive and exhausted. This can all go away, Juliana. Name your price. My price? I smiled. You still think this is about money? Everything's about money. He leaned forward. Melina's authorized me to offer you $20 million, cash, untraceable. I pulled out my tablet and showed him a spreadsheet. You mean like these untraceable transfers to shell companies in the Caymans? His face went pale. Where did you get that? I've had 15 years to watch and learn, Mark. 15 years of being invisible while they moved money around like it was Monopoly. Those records are encrypted. Nothing's encrypted from the system administrator. I stood up. Tell Melina her offer is declined. You're making a mistake, he called after me. The reset protocol is a bluff, I finished, or David would have used it already. Back at Sawyer's office, Destiny was waiting. You need to see this, she said, handing me a thumb drive. It's every illegal transaction they've made in the past decade. I've been documenting everything. Why? I asked. Because 2 years ago, they fired my mother for asking too many questions about the books. She was their accountant for 20 years. My phone rang. David's number. You're not the only one who knew about the legacy reset protocol, he said without preamble. Trust me, it's not over. Is that why you sent Mark to bribe me? Because it's not over? You think you're so clever, he sneered. But grandfather told me everything that day about why he really chose you. Because I was the only one who cared about more than just money? Because you were desperate enough to sell your soul for a place at the table. I ended the call. Sawyer looked worried. What if he's right? What if there's something we missed? Then we'll find it, I said, opening my laptop. But first, we need to prepare for the board hearing. Destiny cleared her throat. There's something else. She pulled up a video on her phone. This is from yesterday. The video showed Melina in her office, frantically shredding documents. Get rid of everything, she ordered an assistant, especially the offshore account records. Too late, I smiled. Those records are already with the FBI. My phone chimed with a news alert. Wells Gross family under federal investigation for financial fraud. It's starting, Sawyer said quietly. Another text from David. You've just killed your own golden goose. The reset protocol was your safety net, too. I forwarded the message to Cassandra, who replied instantly. Security team tracked the message. He's drinking at the country club. Want me to send the reporters? No, I typed back. Let him drink. Tomorrow's board hearing will be hangover enough. Destiny looked up from her phone. Melina's calling an emergency press conference. Let her, I said, gathering my files. The more she talks, the more she incriminates herself. Juliana, Sawyer grabbed my arm. What if we're missing something? What if the reset protocol is real? I showed him the final document I'd been saving. It doesn't matter, because tomorrow I'm invoking the dissolution clause. His eyes widened. That'll destroy everything. The entire trust. We'll revert to the original asset pool, I finished. Under my sole administration. They'll never recover. That's the point. I packed up my briefcase. They wanted to play with fire? Fine. Let's show them how hot it burns. My phone lit up one last time. A message from an unknown number. The reset protocol isn't what you think. Meet me tonight. I'll explain everything. The game was reaching its endgame, and someone was about to get burned. The boardroom fell silent as I laid out the documents. 12 trustees stared back at me, their faces a mixture of shock and disbelief. Melina sat at the far end, her designer outfit wrinkled from a sleepless night. David was conspicuously absent. These records, I began, show systematic violations of trust covenants spanning the last decade. Illegal transfers, misappropriated funds, and fraudulent charity schemes. Lies, Melina interrupted. All of it. I clicked a button on my laptop. The room's screens lit up with transaction records. The highlighted entries show money moving from donor accounts to personal expenses, designer clothes, luxury vacations, Aurora's Instagram sponsorships. You have no proof, Melina started. Actually, Destiny stood up from her seat in the corner. We do. She played the video of Melina ordering documents shredded. I have 3 years of similar recordings. The head trustee leaned forward. Mrs. Wells Gross, would you care to explain? Before Melina could respond, the boardroom doors burst open. David stumbled in, reeking of alcohol. Don't say anything, Mother. She doesn't know about the reset. Mr. Wells Gross, the trustee warned. You were not invited to this hearing. Tell them, David pointed at me unsteadily. Tell them how grandfather manipulated you, how he made you promise to protect the legacy? I finished. Yes, let's talk about that. I pulled out the final document, the dissolution clause. Melina's face went white. You wouldn't dare. Section 47.9, I read aloud. In the event of gross misconduct or breach of fiduciary duty, the trust administrator may dissolve the entire structure, with all assets reverting to the originating pool. You can't, David lurched forward. The reset protocol doesn't exist, a new voice said. Everyone turned. An elderly man in a suit stood in the doorway. Because I wrote the original trust documents, and there was never any reset protocol. Who are you? Melina demanded. Thomas Harrison, the man replied. The original family lawyer. The one you fired 20 years ago when you started moving money offshore. David collapsed into a chair. But grandfather said. Your grandfather was dying and delirious, Thomas said. He knew Juliana was the only one who could save this family from itself. That's why he made her administrator. I placed the dissolution papers on the table. The choice is simple. Either step down from all positions and accept external oversight, or I dissolve everything. You'll destroy yourself too, Melina sneered. No, I smiled. I'll be fine. The originating asset pool is separate from your personal accounts, the ones you've been draining for years. The head trustee cleared his throat. Given the evidence presented, I move to approve the dissolution. Second, another trustee quickly added. You can't do this. David stumbled to his feet. I'll tell everyone about the abortion, about how you begged to be part of this family. Go ahead, I said calmly. I'm done being ashamed of my past. Are you? The vote was unanimous. As I signed the dissolution papers, Melina broke down. We're ruined, she sobbed. Everything. Gone. Not everything, I corrected. Just everything you stole. My phone buzzed. A text from Cassandra. News van's outside. Ready? Mrs. Wells Gross, the head trustee announced. You and your family are hereby removed from all positions of authority. The trust will be dissolved, and all legitimate assets will be redistributed according to the original charter. Security arrived to escort Melina and David out. As they left, Aurora appeared in the hallway. I told you, she spat at me. I told you he'd come for everything. No, Aurora, I replied. He came for nothing, and that's exactly what he got. Later, as reporters swarmed outside, Sawyer found me in his office. The dissolution is trending. They're calling it the end of an empire. Not an end, I corrected. A correction. My phone lit up with a final message from David. You've won. Happy now. I thought about 15 years of dismissal, of being the quiet wife who was only good with numbers, of being called dead weight. No, I typed back. Not happy, just finished. The empire had fallen, but from its ashes something better would rise, something honest. The moving trucks arrived at dawn. I watched from my car as workers carried crystal vases and antique furniture out of the mansion. Melina stood on the front steps, clutching her designer handbag like a life preserver. They're taking everything, Aurora's voice cracked behind me. She'd aged years in the past week. Not everything, I replied, not turning around. Just what wasn't rightfully theirs. David's in rehab, she said quietly. Melina's on anxiety medication. Was it worth it? I finally faced her. Ask the charity whose money they stole. Ask the employees they fired for asking questions. Ask everyone they stepped on while pretending to be royalty. My phone buzzed. Sawyer's message was brief. Press conference in 30. You ready? The media had gathered outside the family's law firm. Melina stood at the podium, her hands shaking. My family has been victimized by a vindictive woman who... Would you like me to play the videos? I called out, walking through the crowd. The ones showing you moving donor money to offshore accounts. Cameras swung toward me. Reporters shouted questions. My name is Juliana, I began, taking the podium as Melina was led away. For 15 years, I watched this family abuse their power, steal from charities, and destroy anyone who questioned them. Today, that ends. Why now? A reporter called out. Because someone had to. I pulled out my phone and played Melina's voice. Move it from the Children's Hospital Fund. We'll replace it later. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Destiny appeared at my side, holding a thick folder. The complete records, she announced. Every transaction, every violation, every victim. You're just jealous, Melina screamed from the sidelines. You were nothing before us. No, Melina, I replied calmly. I was everything before you. I just forgot it for a while. Security escorted her away as she continued shouting. Aurora followed, pausing only to whisper, You took everything. No, I called after her. I left you the chance to become like them. Choose wisely. That afternoon, I sat in Sawyer's office watching the auction listings go live. The summer house in Newport, the ski lodge in Aspen, the fleet of luxury cars. The FBI's investigation is expanding, Sawyer reported. They're looking into other families connected to their schemes. My phone lit up with a text from David. I loved you once, before all this. No, I typed back. You loved what I could do for you. There's a difference. Cassandra arrived with coffee and newspapers. Every headline told the same story. Dynasty falls, empire of lies exposed, trust fund family's criminal web revealed. Look at this, she pointed to a smaller article. Their social circle is imploding. 3 other families are under investigation now. Good, I said. Let it all burn. My phone rang. The trustee board chairman. The dissolution is complete, he announced. All assets have been frozen pending criminal investigation. Except the original asset pool. As administrator, you have full control. It's substantial. I ended the call and looked at Sawyer. Get me the paperwork to establish a new foundation. Focus on financial literacy for women in abusive marriages. Already done, he smiled, sliding a folder across his desk. And Destiny asked about a job. Tell her she starts Monday. That evening, I drove past the mansion one last time. Moving trucks were still loading furniture. A small crowd of onlookers gathered, watching the fall of the mighty. My phone buzzed with a final message from Melina. We'll sue. We'll fight. This isn't over. I parked and walked to where she stood supervising the movers. Actually, it is over. But here's the thing you never understood, Melina. This wasn't about money. Then what was it about? Justice, consequences, the simple fact that no one is above the law, not even the mighty Wells Gross family. She stared at me, mascara streaking down her face. We made you. No. I turned to leave. You broke me. And in putting myself back together, I learned how to break you. As I drove away, I caught a glimpse of Aurora in my rearview mirror. She stood alone on the mansion's steps, watching her fairy tale crumble. Sometimes, I thought, the most powerful revenge isn't taking everything. It's leaving just enough for them to remember what they lost. The autumn breeze carried the sound of wedding bells across the garden. Cassandra stood radiant in her white dress, surrounded by genuine love and honest joy. Everything my own wedding had lacked. You're crying, Destiny whispered, handing me a tissue. Happy tears, I replied, watching my sister dance with her new husband. It's nice to celebrate something real for a change. My phone buzzed. A news alert. Former socialite Melina pleads guilty to financial fraud. I showed it to Sawyer, who sat beside me at the reception. 3 years minimum, he nodded. David took a plea deal last week. Aurora's doing Instagram ads for discount fashion brands now. And the foundation? 20 new clients this month, Destiny reported. Women learning to escape financial abuse, breaking free from their golden cages. The wedding photographer gathered everyone for pictures. As I stood with Cassandra, she squeezed my hand. Remember what you said when I got engaged? About how you couldn't feel joy anymore? I was wrong, I smiled. I just needed to remember who I was first. My phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. Thank you. Your foundation helped me leave my husband. I'm free." "Another one?" Sawyer asked, reading over my shoulder. "We get several every day," Destiny said proudly. "The support group is growing." The band started playing a slow song. Cassandra pulled her husband close, their happiness radiating across the garden. I thought about another garden party not so long ago, where champagne glasses clinked to celebrate my departure. "Ms. Administrator," a waiter approached with a letter. "This was left at the entrance for you." The envelope contained a newspaper clipping. "David announces memoir, My Life as a Trust Fund Child." Below it was a handwritten note. "I'm telling the truth this time, all of it, including how much I owe you for trying to save me from myself. D." "Are you okay?" Sawyer asked quietly. "Better than okay," I replied, tucking the note away. "I'm free." The reception continued as the sun set. I watched Cassandra laugh with her friends. No pretense, no hidden agendas. Just pure joy. The Foundation's annual report came in, Destiny said, pulling up documents on her tablet. "We've helped over 200 women this quarter alone. And that offshore account you found? It's funding 3 new domestic violence shelters." "Justice comes in many forms," Sawyer mused. My phone lit up with another news alert. "Luxury auction complete. Wells gross family assets sold to fund victim restitution." Cassandra caught my eye from across the garden and raised her glass. Not in mockery, not in spite, but in celebration of survival. I thought about Melina's words at that last garden party, about dead weight and lost causes, about how they thought they made me when really they just showed me who I didn't want to become. "Dance with us," Cassandra called out. The band was playing something upbeat now, and the garden was alive with genuine laughter. As I joined the dancers, another text came through. "Aurora, I get it now, what you were trying to tell me. Thank you for leaving me a choice." "What did she choose?" Destiny asked. "To start over," I replied. "Sometimes that's the bravest choice of all." The night grew deeper, stars twinkling above the celebration. No crystal glasses, no designer dresses, no pretense, just real people celebrating real love. "To new beginnings," Sawyer raised his glass. "No," I corrected him. "To being who we always were, before anyone told us we needed to be something else." My final text of the night came from an unexpected source, Thomas, the original family lawyer. "Your grandfather would be proud, not of the money or the power, but of how you protected the true legacy, helping others find their strength." I looked around at my chosen family, Cassandra dancing with her husband, Destiny organising foundation files even at a wedding, Sawyer protecting everyone's interests, and all the genuine souls who filled the garden with authentic joy. They called me dead weight once, but even ballast has a purpose. It keeps the ship steady through the storm. And I had weathered mine. The music played on, and for the first time in years, I danced without counting the cost.